Hello, hello. How are you all? Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all okay. I just got possibly dribbled on coming over from the shop. It's been a beautiful day all day, and then literally just as I left the shop, I was like, it got started raining. Started running past. Don't mind running. If you see me running, normally actually you run too because I'm being chased. Hopefully you're all okay. Hopefully everybody is all right. I'm nearly burning Dave then with the iron. Still haven't got a new little iron. I must order one actually later and get a new one because I've got the big one still at the moment. I am a little bit. I think I've got a little man's cold. I'm a little bit snuffly today, so excuse me. I'm extra snuffly again, which is a bit of a pain, but I am a little bit snuffly. How are you all? Let me just. I've just realised I haven't got the laptop right in the quite right position. I cannot see your comments. There we go. Hi, Jean. Hello, lovely. We're going to have a little go at a block today. I've been playing around with about 3 or 4 different blocks recently, and I'm not quite ready to share them because I'm coming up with some new bits, playing around with some Dresdens, and they're not quite working as I want them to. So we're going to do something else today. We are doing a block. But we're going to revisit something with a bit of a twist because, again, it's something I've been playing with and this is ready to show you. The other things are still formulating in my mind what I want to show you. Before we do, what news was there? I've had some more blocks arrive today. I had a lovely tartan M, but there's no name in there, so I'm not sure whose that one is. So if you made a lovely tartan M, like green tartan, and it was the postcode was Dumfries and Galloway, something like that. Dumfries, I think it was. So if that one's yours, can you just drop us a message to let us know that one's yours, please? Let's say hello to everybody. So hi Jean, hi Wendy, hi Carolyn, hi Heather, hi Sarah. Hello everybody. So that's that. I don't know if you saw, I'm going to just talk to you, hi Lindy Lou as well. Saw on Gigglers group that there was one on the Gigglers. Oh, was there a green tartan one? I'll go back through the Gigglers, Sarah. Good shout. I hadn't thought about doing that. I'll do that in a minute. Hi Kate, hi Lynn. On the Gigglers yesterday, Gina, stroke Gail, I called her Gail for months and months. And her name wasn't Gail, it's Gina. But it's a in joke now. So Gina stroke Gail put up a beautiful incubator quilt that she made. And apparently the hospital is always in need of them. They are quite big. They're like 64 inches wide, but with like the bits cut out. She's actually made 3 of them. So later on, I'm going to put some, I've got her permission to do so. I'm going to put some pictures up of the ones that she's done, all her workings out as well on how, if anybody fancies making one for the hospital, then I'll put the details up as well, okay, of what she did, because she designed 3 beautiful quilts. And it's such a lovely cause, and apparently they're quite large because they go over the incubators to keep it nice and sort of dark and cozy for the babies. But they've got like flappy bits so that they haven't got corners. Looks like a big cross basically, like that. There's nothing in the corners, so it kind of drapes over. You'll see when you see the pictures, but I'm going to put a little group of pictures up, and if anybody wants Gina's workings out, if you fancy making one, then I will. She sent them over to me. I'll type them up or something, and we can send them out for you. But yeah, I just thought it was a really lovely cause and a really nice way of using it. Lots of scraps and our stashes that we've got there that we never quite know what we're going to do. Little man is here today. Josh has got him. He's been asleep for an hour, so it's very likely that he's going to wake up any minute. In which case, it's going to be chaos over there. So we're going to get on with it. Was that the only thing I had to tell you? Oh, no. I forgot to tell you as well. I'd like you to all join me in wishing Dave, who's Sarah's husband, a very happy birthday. He turned 60 today. He's 60 today. Which means he can get his first pass. He's so going to be ribbed about that later. For those of you who know him, you'll have seen him in the shop. You might have met him at shows because he's helped out at shows and stuff as well. It's Dave's birthday today, so if you, not that she's watching, because I think they're going out for Mary Burns. Yes, it might be Mary's. Good shout, Sarah. Sorry, the I think they went out for brunch, I think, so they might still be out. But anyway, happy birthday, Dave. Let's just have a very, very quick, indeed, happy birthday. Yeah, lots of you saying happy birthday. Hi, Claire, as well. Patricia, yes, they are beautiful, those incubator quilts, aren't they? Really lovely. But if anybody fancies doing them, then absolutely we can, Gina said that it's okay for me to share her workings out to show how they're done. Right, let's get on with this. Let's see what's going. Just joined and heard my name. Mary, was yours the green tartan M? There was nothing in the bag, so I wasn't sure whether it was in the envelope. And I wasn't sure if it was yours, my darling. So if it is, let me know, just so I can put everybody's name on it. Right, what we're going to have a go at today is we're kind of going to come over here. We're going to revisit something, but kind of with a bit of a twist. So I'm going to come over here. So we've done this quilt as you go with the jelly roll technique before, okay, which I'm going to just briefly touch on again today for those of you, because I think it was right back when we started. But I thought as well, I'd seen a little video thing on Instagram where they were like appliquing into it and stuff. So I thought, actually, we've got all of our applique templates that I draw and stuff. I put a few more of them onto the website today. We've got like 60 odd of them, but they're in the template section. You can buy them as books, but I've started putting the individual ones on as well. And I just thought, actually, this would be a really funky way of, using up a jelly roll, using up your scraps. If you've got 2.5-inch strips in your scrap buckets, then yes, we could do that. You could use those, or you could use up a jelly roll, or any, you could mile a minute it. But I just thought it's a nice way of using up a jelly roll. It's a really nice technique, which I thought we could touch on again. You could use a honey bun, anything strip wise for this. But then I thought we could play around with some applique as well. So I just mocked this one up last night, just to check that the applique worked. Not that it worked okay on this sort of block, and it did. It stitched out quite nicely, actually. I quite like the fact you've got this echo of the applique on the back with your stitching. I did try, in fact, have I got it here? I did, see, this is one of my failed attempts. I did and about putting, shush up, Iron, putting it onto wadding first, and then putting it on, and then blanket stitching it to make it like really raised and puffy, a bit like trapunto, that type of thing. But my machine did not like it. It just kept tangling the like jamming and tangling the blanket stitch. You could probably do it by hand, and it would give you this lovely sort of puffiness to it. But it really didn't like it. I don't know why. I've got my walking foot on, and I'll talk to you about my new walking foot as well in a moment, because I bought a new one, and I have to say it's so worth the money. It really is. I'm so glad I spent out extra on I bought a dynamic one, but I'll tell you in a minute when we get over there. But yeah, so this might work, putting this on. I might give it another go at another point. I don't know whether it was the wadding I used, because I used a bit of the H640, and it's got like almost like an interfacing on it, which I think was probably the reason it was jamming. But I thought, why not? Why not add some applique to it? It might be a bit different. Yeah. And we've got lots of different applique templates as well. It doesn't have to be a daisy. It could be, a pussycat sat on there. We've got a little Scotty dog. There's a camper van. Once you've done your base, that quilt block is now ready and done. Generally took me about 40 minutes total. And then quilt as you go them together. You don't have to do them straight onto the wadding. You could just sew your strips together and then applique on if you're doing, if you want to do them for something else. So I thought we'd touch on this technique and then have a little go at the applique if you fancy. So I've gone really big with my wadding square. I went with the 16-inch, so I was making really big blocks. But it doesn't have to be this big. You could do them. So if you wanted to say do 12.5-inch blocks, I would cut maybe 13.5. You want a little bit because it does suck it up a little bit. You could do 6.5-inch blocks in this technique if you wanted to, although those appliques would be too big. But I just thought, let's go big. Let's go real big on these, because it makes big blocks, which makes a quick quilt. I had one of the Ruby Star scrap packs, which are the new ones from Moda, and cut out loads and loads of 2.5-inch strips out of it. But you could do this, like I said, with a jelly roll or anything else. So there we go. Let me just... Mary, is yours brilliant, fabulous, love. That's okay. Don't worry. I knew I'd be able to find out whose it was, but yeah, I was just like, oh, I can't. I remember somebody putting saying about green tartan, but couldn't remember who it was. So I'm just living my tea. I'm trying to keep myself lubricated today because I'm a bit what's the word, a bit dry. So we're going to start right down the centre. So like I said, I've just cut lots and lots of strips. I'm going to pop that one right down the centre, and I'm going to stitch it on diagonally. You just want to get it roughly. If you wanted to, you could be really precise. And let me get this over here. Fold this in half, and that little crease there would go right against the corner. Okay, these aren't quite long enough, these strips, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to trim it down anyway. So I'm just going to equal distance it. So I've got a little bit either end. Okay, like that. Next strip's going to go on, and again, this is scrappy, so don't think too much. I mean, you could make some beautiful like patterns and things if you wanted to, and really think about it, but I've gone quite scrappy with this. Hi Carol, lovely. Hi, nice, thank you for joining us. Just going to pin this down. So I've already put my backing fabric on my wadding, and I know this is a technique we've already done, but I just thought let's try some applique on it as well. Let's mix and match it a bit. And we're going to stitch down 1/4 inch along here. Okay, we're going to flip it out and we're going to keep adding. So it's a stitch and flip technique. Okay, welcome to the Pensioners Club. Happy birthday. Oh, he's going to love you for that, Lindy. Right, we're going to come over to this machine. So I don't know, hopefully you can see, I've actually got my my new dynamic walking foot on. It is a brother one. It comes with 2 plates. So it comes with this one, which actually is quite nice because so it's this one. This is the open foot. Okay, so if you can see that there's an open one. So if you're doing lots of applique, blanket stitch or whatever, you can quite easily, they just snap in the feet. This one's a closed one, but it's actually got a 1/4 inch guide on it as well, which was really nice. I ummed and ahed. I had a normal one. I lost it somewhere. I ummed and ahed about whether to pay out, because they're normally about 35 quid. This one was 75, which is quite substantial, quite a bit more really, isn't it? And so I was a bit, do I spend out on it? Do I use it enough? My walking foot, because we've got Daphne. Do I use it enough to actually warrant it? Well, I have to say I've used it 3 times since I bought it, and it's blooming brilliant. I used to get quite a lot of problems with Quilt As You Go, where it was too thick for my old walking foot. Well, this thing, it works differently. It works slightly differently, this dynamic one, to a normal walking foot. It's brilliant. It's handling all sorts of thicknesses and dealing with stuff that normally I wouldn't have managed. I really wouldn't have managed. So, and I like the fact it came with 2 feet. So yes, it is a little bit. Is yours stopping and starting as well? Roll on when you get your new Wi-Fi. Oh, is it? And I see I'm on my house Wi-Fi here, lovely, and this is the super duper one. It's the shop we're getting the new Wi-Fi. Is it not? Is it still not working? Hang on 2 seconds. Let me just double check that. You see, I've got really good download speed. I don't know. I think it must be Facebook, lovely, rather than my Wi-Fi, because I've just checked the download speed and it's absolutely fine. So sorry guys, don't know what to suggest. I haven't got enough space, but last night, because I've got my mat here and I need to keep the other bit free, but I actually put my quilt table on as well, and that really helped. So really nice and quickly, we're just going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. So I got it on super slow. There we go. I'm going to go all the way down, all the way down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one side of this for you, and then we're going to move on to the applique. I know this is probably sounds quite noisy, but it's so much quieter than my old walking foot. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think sometimes it might be Facebook because I do. We've got like my husband pays for because they're all gamers and everything, so he pays for really expensive, like not expensive, but really super duper, high speed Wi-Fi. Right, so put that one on. I would then put this one on this side, but we're just going to do one side so I can show you the applique bit. Okay, so I'm just going to grab another one. Let's put that one on like that. There. I would pin. This is one of the few times I would pin because I've already got the wadding and all there. You know I don't like to pin normally, but this is very, very quick way of producing blocks and producing a quilt. You'll have we'll all come over. Oh, yeah, you'll have to come to. Maybe we'll have to start doing the 1 o'clocks in the shop, but I don't know where we'd put all the setup. To be honest, there's not enough space. And then we're coming over here, and then we're just gonna. Oh, hang on, did I come over here? I did. There we go, and then down we go again. So we're just going to put another line in. We're just going to put a few blocks in, just so I can show you the applique bit. Which again, I know we've done applique before, but I just like the idea of mixing a few methods. Doing a really simple, really sort of like bright block, and then adding in some applique to break it up a little bit. So I'm not going to change cameras. I'm just going to flip that one out. I'm going to add another one. So what have I got there? And there we go. That's a smallish piece. So that's a bit that I cut off the last one. I'm just going to add that in like that. So yeah, no, I've been playing around with a new charm pack pattern, which I hopefully will be able to show you next week. And I've also been playing around with a different way of using a Dresden plate as well to create something, a new design, which again I will share with you, but they're not quite ready. They're not working quite how I want them to. So I want to play around with it more before I tell you exactly how what it is I'm doing. There we go. That's that one. It was stop start when you're watching on your iPad and change it over to phone. It's much better. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I don't know. It's a lot of people say that they can watch on their phone or their laptop, but they can't watch on their iPads or tablets. Really bizarre. Just going to add this one on next, and literally all I'm doing is just lining up those raw edges and flipping out, stitching and flipping. So it's a really, really quick way. I really like this method for quick quilts. They look really effective, particularly if you're using like a jelly roll or a scrap bag where they're all the same, design. They look like you can then like stitch into them, like use your decorative stitches, or you could add like lace and ribbon and stuff. It's just a really nice method, this, and I think it's something we haven't talked about for a while. So how's everybody been? Who else is still doing their blocks? Has anybody still got one to send us yet? So there we go. I can't believe that little man's still asleep. He's having a really good sleep today. There we go. I'm just going to put this last one on there, like that. And then we'll move over to the applique. So all the way down one side. Make that. Okay, then we're going to come back over here. How quick was that? How quick was it to put those strips? I haven't ironed it in between because you don't want to get an iron on the wadding because it can melt and stretch it. So I've literally just finger pressed it out, and then like that. And when it got to this stage, I would then give it a little iron. Although I've got to wake my iron up now. It's one of those auto shut off ones, and it drives me potty. So I need to order myself a little iron, don't I? I really do. Okay, like that. You could then carry on this side with the strips, or you could put a big piece of like plain fabric in there. That might be quite nice. So it's almost like a half square triangle, but with stripes, but ready quilted. And then you could applique into this, or whatever. So you could play around with this a little bit. You could shadow quilt into this if you want more quilting. I mean, it's already quilted more than enough with the piecing lines, but there's nothing stopping you adding more. Like I was saying, you could use your decorative stitches on that. You could practice it. Put my teeth back in. You could practice your free motion quilting in this because you've got some guidelines, and it's a little piece to deal with. All right, so pretend I've covered the rest of this piece of wadding, all right, either with strips or a whole plain piece. Maybe pick out one of the colours, and a plain piece, it'd be like a half square triangle. So right, I'm just going to quickly what was that, Taryn? I'm annoyed with myself. I meant to bring it with me today for popping into the shop and then forgot. Oh, bless you. Never mind, darling. You've got to send your book, Carol. Lovely. You've got a couple of weeks yet, so don't panic too much. Sleep. Ollie was like a Duracell bunny yesterday. He was on the go pretty much all day. Claire, you still need to make your block for the group quilt. You just got to choose some fabric. You can dig your sewing machine out. Oh, bless you. What was the size of the square? I started with a 16-inch piece of wadding, and I'm going to trim mine down to 15 inches. That is purely the fact that I had some squares cut out big. You could do whatever size square you want, 12.5, 9.5, whatever you like. Bigger, you could do 20.5, make really big blocks, So imagine that's all covered, right? We're going to tackle the applique now. Now I'm going to do another daisy. So I've got some white fabric, I've got a little bit of yellow to go on there as well, and I've got my daisy. Where's my daisy? There he is, my daisy template. Okay, I have put the daisy on the website. I think I've managed to get about 10 individual ones. They're in the template section. They're £1 each, and they're a digital download only. If you want paper copies, we sell them in book format, because it's not worth the postage to send out one sheet of paper. Okay, so one thing I realised when I'd done this, because I was doing it late last night, is that if you've got dark fabrics and you're using light as your applique, obviously you can see this through. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the pattern through, and that annoyed me a little bit. So I don't know if we talked about this when we did it before. You can use interfacing, iron-on interfacing, on the back of your fabrics before you applique. It works really, really well. So first thing I'm going to do is just very quickly, I'll do a daisy. I was going to say, should I do a daisy or should I do a cat? Might be good to do an incubator quilt. Yes, absolutely. If I post the sizes, this might be a quick way of doing it. It'd be lovely. So we're just going to very quickly draw out this. So I've got the Bondaweb, heat and steam, whichever you choose to use. We like Bondaweb. The rough side down, so I'm drawing on my paper side, and I'm just going to trace it out. So I should have traced this out and I forgot to. So you're just going to have to bear with me. It doesn't have to be a daisy. It could be like a gerbera. You could do 2 of these and offset them so you've got extra petals there. You can play it. We don't mind if you play around with these. Once you've purchased the templates, if you want to scan them into your computer and make them bigger or smaller, that's absolutely fine with us. Obviously, just don't photocopy them and give them out to everybody else. But if you want to play around with them, adapt them, that's size-wise, that's absolutely fine. So I'm just very roughly using this. Children's colouring books are brilliant for this sort of thing as well. Late joining because of yoga. Ah, lovely. Like a bit of yoga. Karen, you can't access today's programme. Viewing not working. Oh, man. Is there a Ukrainian sunflower template? I don't have a sunflower, but could you make this one into a sunflower? So if you, like I was saying, doubled them up. So if you cut out 2 and then offset them, so it did that behind, and then put a bigger circle, so use just a cup or something to make a big circle. That might be, are sunflower petals wobbly like this, or are they like that? I don't know without looking at it, but I know you've got a big centre, haven't you? So you could do that, but I don't have a sunflower at the minute, I'm afraid. Finish mine in time for the 1 o'clock. Lovely. Right, so drawn that out, and actually the circle on this one was a little small for what I wanted. I wanted it to be more dynamic than that. So lid of my 505 is going to be my circle in the centre. I quite like that little one on the normal one, but on this one I wanted something a bit bigger. So cut this one out. I'm doing a applique on my retreat kit. Oh, lovely. That's a nice idea, hun. On your tartan charm. Lovely. There we go, and cut that out like that. Just very, very roughly. There we go, cut that out. You don't want too much excess because it wastes fabric, but you also don't want to be on the pencil line. And I know I'm kind of teaching you to suck eggs now, guys, because we've done applique a lot, but I did think that this would be a good opportunity to show you the interfacing as well. So I've got a little bit of white fabric here. Okay, I need a piece big enough for that one. So I'm just going to chop a piece out like that. There we go. Give that a quick iron, actually. So how's everybody doing? Hi, Carrie. How are you, lovely? So what applique are you doing, Sarah? I remember sending you the Highland cow. Is that what you're doing? You also want then a piece of interfacing which is big enough as well. So this is just I think this is the medium one, fusible interfacing. If you're using a dark fabric for your applique, like if you're doing silhouette of the cats or something, you don't need to interface it at all. It's just the fact that I'm going to put white fabric onto these dark colours. So glue side down on the back of the fabric, and we're going to do that first. So let me just pull this over. Oh, I'm in a right pickle today. I've got stuff everywhere. Stuff everywhere I have. There you go. Let's move this out of the way. And just fuse that down. Okay. You've just restarted selling. We're all there. Hello, lovely. Hi, Janice as well. Thank you for joining us. There we go. So what I've done is just put that little bit of interfacing on the back of the white fabric. And that's just going to, like we do when we do red work, it stops anything showing through. Then I'm going to put my daisy on the back of that. So just going to, this sticks quite quickly. I'm being naughty, not using my ironing board. There we go. Okay, so that's now on. We're going to cut it out. And then you're just going to applique it just as we would normally. Okay, so we're going to cut this one out like that. You're going to have to bear with me while I cut out now, guys. I'm going to do it very quickly, very roughly. So, is anybody else there having a chat? What have you all been, anybody been up to anything? You know, you could needle turn this if you wanted to, I suppose, rather than fusible. But I really like the fact you can see the decorative stitching on the back of the quilt. I think it's adds a little bit to the quilting. So I really should have prepped one of these rather than you having to watch me do this, shouldn't I? Very much looking forward to going away this weekend, though. I'm still packing, not still packing. Still trying to decide what I'm going to take, to be honest, because we're literally micro packing, like, you know, because we're only going for 3 days and we're just taking hand luggage, but it's really small hand luggage as well. So it really is going to be like one bikini, a pair of shorts. I'll wear a pair of shorts out and a t-shirt, take one dress type thing, or maybe I can probably squeeze in 2 dresses for the like evening for dinner, just some little throw-on ones, I think. Pair of flip-flops and a bikini stroke swimsuit, depending on how brave I'm feeling. But then it's only me and Sarah and the boy, the Abiz, so I don't care if they see all my rolls. There we go, round we go like that. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the sunshine. There we go. So it is a little bit thicker than normal because you've got that interfacing, but it really does work, I think, for stopping you seeing any fabrics through light ones. So just score it, and away we come, like that. All that back paper can come off then. There we go. And then you get to do the fun bit. You get to decide where you're going to put it. Sorry, just reading the comments. Sarah, mode Astro fabric, bullseye the back, so doing a rocket and an astronaut. Oh, amazing. I'm putting maximum, that is lush. I love that idea. That Astra would work really well with that. What's the paper you use? I use Bondaweb, love, for sticking on. That was, yeah, this stuff. It's Bondaweb, so it's paper one side and it's glue the other. You put that on, cut out, and then you score the paper and peel the paper off, and it leaves a layer of glue on the back of the fabric. So it just means you can stick it down. I prefer Bondaweb than Heat and Bond or Steam and Seam or something like that. It just seems to work every time. Then you can decide where you want it. Okay, now I would square this up before I put my applique on, so which is what I did with this one. I'm not going to square this up now because I will finish this other bit. Okay, but you could dead center it. You could off center it like I've done here. You don't have to have the whole thing. It could look like there was, I could put 2 on here maybe, and maybe have it look so when that's trimmed off and joined, like you've got more than one flower on it. In fact, quite like that idea of having more than one on each block. Doesn't have to be just a daisy. You could, add a pussycat there, sat in front of the daisy. Mind you, very large flower, very small pussycat, but you could add extra bits on there as well. But yeah, actually, I quite like that idea. So that when that was on, and then I trimmed off those petals, it would look like it's just sort of peeking over the side, isn't it? Because you would then, join it with sashing and stuff. So you decide where you want to put your appliques. I'm going to move this one up a little bit. I'm going to put it more central, I think, like that, rather than this bottom corner, just to make sure that I've got enough room. The glue side, and you'll feel it, it's shiny, okay, compared to the fabric. Goes that side, and then stick and press it down. And I think you'll be able to see, hopefully, the difference that interfacing makes. There we go, like that. If I bring this one back, so I can just about see, but barely see the fabric through that one. With this one, I can actually see the designs quite clearly because there's no interfacing on the back of this. That one, I think, is a little bit more, stand out. And then you'd add on your little circle. So I'm going to add that one onto there. Be very naughty, just stitch that one on. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, it's just, it's a different way of using a technique we've looked at before. And rather than it just being stripes, play around with it, add some other bits in. I was literally, what am I going to do with this Ruby Star scrap pack? What shall I play around with? And I thought, well, I haven't done any applique for ages, so why not? Why not? There we go. Like that. Take that paper off so that you can feel the shiny glue. There we go. And then that one's going to sit in the centre, like that. I wanted the centres on these to be a bit bigger. I wanted them to stand out a bit more. There we go. And then we can play around and you can decorate. You can apply whatever stitches you want. We can blanket stitch this all the way around. You could use some decorative stitches. You could free motion embroidery into it. You could just straight stitch it or zigzag, whatever you want. You could just add in some of those extra bits, however you want, really. You could put beaded work and all on here and stuff. If you were making maybe a twiddle thing, well, actually that would work. It would work quite nicely for twiddle mats, wouldn't it? Something to sit on somebody's lap. One this sort of size. You could add in some piping cord, sew in some piping cord or something, so it's rough and stuff. Sew some beads or a big button or something on there, so they've got things to play with. You've got ways of playing around with it. I will finish this one, and we're gonna just carry on that way all the way across to finish the block. Do you want me to go through the blanket stitch, or are you okay as is? I mean, blanket stitch is pretty much blanket stitch. I mean, we've done it a few times before. I think you should be okay on that. Just with any stitch on your machine, have a little practice first. Practice first on a little scrap of fabric and make sure. I went quite big on this one. I don't know if you can see it on the yellow. I went for quite a big jump in. So if you change the width of your fabric, the bit that looks like a zigzag, the width, it will jump in further. If you change your stitch length, it will be each stitch will be further away. So I went quite big and chunky on that one, and just blanket stitched all the way around. You can probably see it better on the back actually, because it's white against that red. I didn't understand that. My phone's talking to me and I didn't ask it to. So yeah, just have a play around, have a little look. Have you got some applique things there? When we get those, come back over here a second. you know, when you get those freebies off magazines, off the front of a quilter magazine, and it might be flowers or birds or, you know, some sort of applique template. You don't necessarily need to use ours. I mean, obviously ours are there if you wish for them, but you know, have a little look at colouring books and stuff like that. See if there's an image you like. Really mega quick block to do, and actually would be beautiful as a baby. What fabric did you use on the back? It was a 108 that we had in stock that I had a little remnant of, so I'm just trying to use up my scraps, yeah, and the scrappy back on it, you know, where each block is a different one, and then I'll quilt as you go them together. I think looks quite nice. So yeah. Would you join other squares into quilt or with sashing? I would join them with the quilt as you go sashing technique. Give me a second, lovely, and I'll grab a quilt over here. There we go, like this one. So this is exactly what we've been doing today, thinking about it, but much smaller squares. So we did the stitch and flip on the blocks. Okay, so stitch and flipped blocks. So made lots and lots of blocks, and they've all got different backs to them. Used up some old fat quarters and stuff on the backs. And then I used the quilt as you go technique, where you have a 2-inch sashing on the back and a 1 inch on the front, and you join them, so you quilt all your blocks and then you join them with the sashing. Sorry, was making toast, you use the interface. Yes, you put your interface in on the back of the fabric, and then you put your Bonder web on, love. Yes, so your glue is on the back of the interface in before you stick it on. But yes, that's how I would do these, and that way you can add as many blocks together as you like, but you've never got any more than that under your machine. You haven't got a whole quilt because you're only putting that block to that block, and you do it in. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, so this, I forgot I had this one actually. I could just applique this and not have to do those, couldn't I? Because you could applique afterwards. There's nothing stopping me now adding some appliques into this if I wanted to and change it up. But yeah, it's just stitch and flip technique. Okay. And then our quilt as you go technique. So there should be a tutorial on that for you, but I can always go through it again at another date if you like. Cool. Anything? Yeah, I love thanks, Patricia. Yeah, it was, you know, an old technique we've done before, how to change it up, how to make something bright. They'd make beautiful placemats. You know, if you did rectangular wadding starting there, let me just put that over there a second. You know, instead of a square fabric, if you did a rectangular wadding and did the same technique and then appliqued into it, you could do that. But I will touch on when I've done a couple of blocks, maybe next week or the week after, I'll go through quilt as you go again, because I know there's new people that won't have seen it and stuff. But it's definitely on our YouTube channel if you want to see it before then. Okay. So what were the size of the blocks and the daisy, more or less? So Karen, I started with a 16-inch piece of wadding. I'll cut them down to 15, but you could do 12.5. And the daisy is on an A4 piece of paper. You know, so it's a decent size. But yeah, it's just an A4 piece of paper. But we've got these as digital download stuff for £1 if anybody wants them. But there's lots there. There's camper fans and butterfly. Ooh, butterfly might be nice with the daisy. You know, you can play around with them. Any news of a raffle, please? I will hopefully get one on this weekend. I will speak to Sian in a minute, and we will hopefully get one on this weekend. It depends on what Sian has to set it all up on the website. So it depends on how busy she is. But yes, we will either do one this weekend or next weekend, okay? So yeah, that's it for me today, my darlings. I would like to see Quilt As You Go, please. Okay, I'll do another little tutorial on Quilt As You Go, either next week or the week after, okay? And I'll show you how I, not that it's my technique, but it's the technique I prefer. There's lots of different ways of doing it, but I'll definitely do that for you, okay? Cool. I'm not back tomorrow. Sarah's back tomorrow. She's doing a woven basket, which I'm intrigued because I haven't seen it, and she hasn't even shown me any pictures, so I don't know what she's doing. And then I will see you next Tuesday. I'll be back next Tuesday. If there's anything, as ever, if there's anything you think, oh, I'd like to know how to do that, drop us a message, let us know, because we can then have a little research and see if we can show you, okay? You'd also be interested in quilts. You go, okay, all right, I'll definitely go through that again. Probably next week. I'll probably do it on Wednesday next week. We'll do a little block, and then I'll show you the quilts to go. Give me time to finish these up, and I'll quilt them up. Cool. Right, I'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully a little bit more tanned than I am now. I'm definitely with my hair dyed, but a little bit more tanned because I'll have been sunning myself in Tenerife. And we'll see you really soon. Take care. Bye, guys.